I'm sorry, it's my imagination. Okay, that can be true too.
Imagination of Hashem.
Imagination.
So relative.
Okay, good. Always being philosophical. Okay, now, so correct. I would like to again today. I would like to do a piece of Peleh Yoetz with you, and then tomorrow, Mitzvah, we'll do Tefillah. Okay. The piece I would like to do with you today is known as Ahavat Re'im, the concern, the connection between one Jew and another, how important that is. Okay, so I'm not reading the whole thing, we'll do parts of it over here, right, because it's a big piece. So he says like this, this person has to fulfill this mitzvah of concern for another Jew, but dibur u'b'ma'aseh, one needs to do this in work and in speech and in action, both. But dibur, how does one fulfill the mitzvah of showing a concern and a care for another Jew with dibur? One should speak good things, and correct things. One should always try to say something good to someone. That's how one showing concern for someone is to get to say things to them to make them happy. Believe me, it's not everybody's happy. So it's an important mitzvah to try to make people happy with words. To go, and how can you do that? Besoros tovos, give them good news. You don't have to be the one to spread the bad news. That's not what people, unless it's necessary, but one should try to look to give over good news to people, how things are getting better, etc. But naturally it should be based on, facts. For eitzos tovos, to give someone a piece of good advice. If there's some problem, to try to help him work it out. And to let him know if this person can anticipate that because of certain situation, this person might suffer a loss, so make him aware of that. And if chas v'shalom, a person is going through difficulties, to try to give him nechama. And many other opportunities one can do through speech. Speech is a gift that God gave us, right? That's what distinguishes us between us and all other creatures. We have the ability of speech, and we should use it for positive things. That's number one. Number two, he brings down b'maisa. How does one show concern for another Jew through action? So chesed b'gufa b'mamon. One can provide kindness with either his physical being or with his money. He can do that. If someone needs help, they should push themselves. They have to push themselves to try to help the person. To try to do kindness. By doing this, you're fulfilling the mitzvah of loving another Jew. Ashrei enosh, Yah says, those fortunate is someone who can do this. Ben Adam Yachzik Ban, to try to hold on to such an idea. And Lafum Tzara Agran, to the extent that a person pushes himself, one is going to be rewarded according to that. Ki Lafum Tzara, because to the extent that a person pushes himself, Osa Nachas Ruach, you're doing Nachas Ruach before Hashem. Karachim Aval Abanim, and just like a parent has compassion for his children, Va'ach Litzora Yulad, and we can be brothers. Kain Ish El Yazo, so too we should help out another Jew. Ki Kulanu B'nei Ish Echad, we're all from Hashem. Achim, we're all from the same father. Achim Anachnu. Ksheyochus Alechad Meivorav, and just like a person is concerned about one of his limbs, so too the Jewish people are known as one entity. There's a famous idea, in other words, this concept of Taryag Mitzvos. Taryag Mitzvos is an absolute impossibility for any one person. Down from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Avraham Avinu, to any of you name the person, it's It's absolutely impossible for that individual to have ever fulfilled 613 mitzvahs. It's absolutely impossible. Because maybe today you can do such things, but in the true world you can't, because you have to be certain mitzvahs only apply to men, certain mitzvahs only apply to women, certain mitzvahs only apply to kohanim, certain mitzvahs only apply to the king, certain mitzvahs only apply if the person owns property. So it's absolutely impossible, except for maybe today, everybody can be whoever they want, but ostensibly it's impossible. So therefore, so what do you mean the 613 mitzvahs were given to the Jewish people? It means we as a total entity, we're considered as one unit, and since we have to look after every single Jew, so we are a corporation. So as the corporation forms their functioning, it's helping the entire corporation. We're all members. Is the idea. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Zeh. Each Jew looks out for another Jew, and therefore we act as one entity. And whatever one Jew does, that's not only helping himself; he's helping the rest of the Jewish people also. And similarly, if you do something, you're not only working for yourself; you're working for the entire Jewish people. So we're all one entity, and that's how we say there's 613 mitzvahs by us, because we are all one entity. Again, another understanding is that if you can't do it actually, so if you learn about it, then that's the equivalent of doing it. That's another understanding of how a Jew can do 613 mitzvahs. If he doesn't actually have the physical capability, so if he learns about it, then that's the equivalent of doing it as well. Okay, so let's move on a little bit over here with this piece. A person, a healthy person, loves himself, he cares for himself, and for his children, and to his relatives. Why is that? He says, again, that's an ingrained nature of a person, to have a love for himself and for his offspring and his relatives. Again, that's in a normal situation. Listen to what he says over here, something we have to reckon with. When it comes to other people, in a situation where a person might think that I'm going to experience a loss, or tircha de guf, it's going to cause me a hassle. Ahavas atzmo goveres alov. If there's any connection between me and another person, and I'm concerned that maybe if I'm going to have to deal with this other person, it might cause me a loss, or it's going to be a big effort on my part. So then when there's this tension and this this tug of war over here, by nature what happens is your interest in yourself overpowers your interest in others. Umagam shiliyos hadavar mitzvah rabba, even though there's an enormous mitzvah over here, helping out another Jew. But it's going to take time, and it might take money, etc. That's true. So he's saying over here, in conjunction with that this mitzvah has such an enormous impact in the world, Yitzro Shaladim is Gaber Olav, right? In other words, Kol HaGodol Mechaveiro, Yitzro Godol Himenu. So I'm just thinking about this right now with you gentlemen. In your schus, I'm getting an idea of what this is. It's a Gemara in Sukkah. The Gemara in Sukkah brings down a very fascinating case, which you might have heard of before in the past. Abaya was watching from an aside, has a young man and a woman walking on a road, and they came to a fork in the road. So they followed Yogi Berra's advice: when you come to a fork in the road, you take it. So they took the fork in the road, and they separated from each other. And Abaya, when he saw that, he felt faint, and he said, if it would have been myself, I don't know how I would have handled such a situation. And he couldn't understand it. He says, these two young people over here, they were just walking very casually, innocently, and then when their itineraries switched, so then one went one way, one went the other way. And the Abaya said, I don't know how such a thing could have been. So he said he was all upset about it until someone reminded him, and he told him, Kol HaGodol Mechaveiro, Yitzro Godol Hebedu. The greater you are, the greater the Yetzer Hara. And like a similar story, they came to the Vilna Gaon, and someone once told me, he said, I wish I had your Yetzer Hara. And the Vilna Gaon said, Chas v'shalom. He said, because we don't know what it is, but the greater a person is, the greater is the person's Yetzer Hara. The more a person grows, the more is his Yetzer Hara. But I'm seeing another understanding of this idea over here in this idea. He's saying that what? That because this mitzvah is so phenomenal, this idea of helping out another Jew, he's saying, Ma gam shilios hadavar mitzvah rabba. This is an enormous mitzvah over helping out another Jew. Saying Yitzro shel adam is gaber alav. The Yetzer Hara is becoming even greater. All right, so that's unbelievable over here. What was I going to say? There's Yetzer Hara is becoming greater because the greater the mitzvah, the more the opposite is you don't want to do it. So I'm being reminded. Yesterday I mentioned to you, gentlemen, that I would give you a little background about the Peleh Yoetz. So again, let me just remind you a little bit over here, because we're in the middle of this. I just want to just give a little background. The Peleh Yoetz lived in around the 1700s, late 1700s, in a city called Sarajevo. Now, again, when we think of Sephardi Jews, we generally identify them with Jews from the Middle East, Middle East, North Africa, places like that. But in truth, as we all understand well, Sephardi Jews mean Jews who came from Spain. Sfarad is Spain. So again, the Jews in the Middle East, they're not really Sephardi Jews. The Jews have been in the Middle East, Iraq, Persia, all that area over there. They've been there for thousands of years. The Jews who are Sephardi Jews, in other words, what happened was the Jews moved from Iraq and Iran and all those places. They moved across North Africa, and then they went to Spain. So in other words, that was the movement that they meant. They want to understand that the Sephardi and the Ashkenazi Jews, Ashkenazim came from Eretz Israel up through Italy. And that was when the Churban Beis Hamikdash took place. The Romans took many, many Jews to Italy, and the Jews from Italy moved up north into France and in Germany. So that's how the Ashkenazim came. And the Sephardi Jews started out in the Middle East, and then they moved across North Africa. They went to Morocco and Algeria and places like that, and then they moved into Spain. And in Spain, as you well know, that we had the most powerful Jewish community in the Middle Ages was in Spain. There were hundreds of thousands of Jews who lived in Spain. And then in 1492 was the expulsion from Spain, and Jews left. And some went to what do you call it? Holland. There was Sephardi, right? The Spanish Portuguese synagogue moved to Amsterdam. You had Jews who moved to Italy. You had Jews who moved to Greece. And then you had Jews who moved to what was called the Balkans, which is where Sarajevo is. It's in Bosnia. It's in what used to be a country called Yugoslavia. Today they don't have it. It doesn't exist anymore. Serbia and it's Bosnia, all these little countries over there. So they're Sephardi Jews. The Sephardi Jews, they speak a language called Ladino, which is not such a popular one anymore. And they want to compare it to Yiddish. That, in other words, it was the Jewish German dialect. So that was the Spanish Jewish dialect called Ladino. And they speak that in those countries. And he was he was a rabbi in the city over there in the late 1700s, and he had an enormous impact in that area. So that is a little bit of the background of the Peleh Yoetz, this being his most well-known sefer, as a very famous Mussar sefer. So if you want more details, I'll try and do a little more research for you. But that's pretty much what was brought down over here in the introduction over here about the Peleh Yoetz. So anyway, so he's telling us over here that the greater the mitzvah, the more the Yetzer Hara tries to dissuade you from it, because he understands what you can come away with from it, and that's where the struggle is all about. But tzorich is gaber al Yitzer, and a person has to make every effort to hold his position. V'lochus al kvod kono, and to have connect to Hashem, ula'ores ahava, and to arouse the love. In other words, if someone has a love for something, so then, as we mentioned before, then there is no price tag on it. You'll do anything. Nothing will hold you back. So that's what he's trying to say over here. especially when people are having like fundraisers and things like that, they try to connect to your love for the Jewish people and to situations, because then you realize then you'll do things which you would have never done under normal situations. Somebody would just come by and give you, you give him a dollar bill or whatever you'll give him. But if they explain and they're talking to you and you're seeing how, it's arousing your compassion, so then you're able to go above yourself than you would have done under normal circumstances. And that's this idea over here, that when the Yetzer Hara is trying to pull you away from this mitzvah, that you should try to work on just thinking about how much you love this person, how much he's Hashem's child over here, and then that will push you to be able to overcome the Yetzer Hara that's trying to pull you away. Ashrayim Yisrael, how fortunate the Jews are. Kama Yegiyos Yegeyim, how much effort they put in. Kama Tirchos Sovlim, how much they're ready to put themselves out. Kama Otzos, and how much money Motziim al Dvar Mitzvah, for a mitzvah Maisim Tovim, to do good things. And the Jews are known to be some of the most, even the non-religious Jews, the philanthropy of the Jews, generosity of Jews is world famous. Jews built, they do all sorts of things. Even, as I say, even the non-religious, they use it for all sorts of things. But it's basically showing that this is nature. Those are Jews' nature. Like we say, the children who are descendants of Avram, they're Rachmanim, Baishanim, and Gomlei Chasodim. These are the three character traits that epitomize a Jew. They are, they're Rachmanim, they have compassion on people. They are Baishanim, they're embarrassed, and to do something inappropriate they won't do. And the Gomlei Chasodim, always looking to do chesed. That is the nature of a Jew. So you just have to do is, it's not hard to get a Jew to do things like this, because it's his innate nature. It's not like you have to change the person around. That's his DNA in him. Zoka Chulkan, how fortunate is our portion. And there's certain mitzvahs that people just don't do so much. Now, he brings down over here and he says like this. V'ikar mitzvahs ahava, he believed. The essential mitzvah of loving another Jew is in your heart, meaning what? This whatever we get tainted very often, he says, Shelo yismak b'takalas chaveiro. Chas v'shalom. No one should ever feel happy if another person has a misfortune, either a financial misfortune or any other type of misfortune. A person should not take personal pleasure in such a thing, right? And that's why there's a very famous Gemara in Brachos that ostensibly we say we're davening Shmona Esrei, but in reality there are 19 brachas. There are 19, not 18. So the question is, why is it called Shmona Esrei? So Rabbi Miller used to say, because for hundreds of years it was only 18 brachos. And we'll discuss that tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, about where the number 18 comes from, etc. But there were 18 for hundreds of years. It wasn't until much, much later that we added a 19th bracha. And that was the bracha V'lam al Shinim. And when Rabbi Gamliel, who was the Nasi, who was the head of the Jewish people at the time, he was looking for someone to write that 19th bracha to try to counteract the effect of the Malshinim, the Lamashimodim, those who were rebelling against the Jewish people. He asked Shmuel HaKatan. He asked Shmuel HaKatan to compose that bracha. And why was he the one that was picked? Now, anybody could write nice things. Anybody could write nice things. But they picked him specifically because Shmuel HaKatan lived with this idea. It says, go to the Pasuk in Mishlei, and it says, Bin fol oivecha, in the downfall of your enemy, al tismach. So even though he's writing a bracha to counteract the Mishumodim and people like that are trying to attack the Jews, but it has to be done in such a pure way that it has to be only l'shem shemayim, and then it would have the proper effect. Because if it's going to be done with any personal agenda or vendetta, so then it wouldn't necessarily have that effect in shemayim. So this is this idea of a person has to be very, very careful not to feel any pleasure in whatsoever if someone is going under having a financial difficulty, especially when you have that. There are people who you feel are your competitors. You have a business and this other person you feel is competing with you. chas v'shol. One thing that we understand clearly is no one's competing with anybody. In truth, I mean, there's something we need to work on. This is what Amun is all based on. And that's B'bitochen is the carrying through of this Amun. A person has to understand that a person's parnasa was defined on Rosh Hashanah. So if chas v'sholom people are going through difficulties now, there's no question they are with all the business downturns now. But ostensibly, whatever is happening is because that was determined on Rosh Hashanah. Hashem made a decree how much parnasa a person is going to be making during the year. And there's nothing in any way whatsoever that will affect that from someone else. No one else on the outside can take that away from you. So no one, in effect, is ever a competitor with you. We just imagine that that's what Yoetz wants us to do. And then, so if he's going to have a financial difficulty, so I'll be happy because now one of my competitors is out. And but again, there's no truth to that. Rak Yismach B'Tovasa, on the contrary, right? By Brevda, you said that the person is truly a Baal Bitochon. If somebody opens up a competing business or something that he thinks is a competing business, what he should do is he should go over to that person and greet him and tell him, I wish you the most hatzlacha. In other words, if Min Din, again, there are halachas over here of competition. We're not learning Choshen Mishpat over here, but there are halachas. When is a person allowed to open up a competing business with someone? So if all those halachas have been met, so then that person in no way is taking away anything from you. And you should, a person who has true bitachon should walk over to that person. I wish you much hatzlacha. Just like I have hatzlacha, Hashem will give you hatzlacha. That there should be a proper hishtadlus on your part. And you should be happy with anything good that's happening. And if he goes through any difficulties, you should feel his pain. And you should daven for him. How does a person get such a love? He'll always remember what the Gemara says. Listen to this, he says. This is Gemara Chagiga. That what the Chazal teaches, that even a Rosh, if he's going through difficulties, Shechina mitzares, the Shechina is in pain. The Shechina is in pain over this Rosh's suffering. So if I see that the Shechina is in pain, then that's, again, what is that doing? That is teaching me. When the Gemara tells me things about the Shechina, it's only because we're supposed to learn was about halachta bedroch of the Gemara. The pasuk says we should try to follow in Hashem's ways. So if Hashem is showing me over here, if Chazal is teaching us that the Shechina is in pain over a Rasha, so how much more so we as Jews should also follow such an idea. And people that we think are our enemies, we should also feel the pain. Right? Ma'aloshen omeres, umina ketsha'odim benachas, Shechina gam benachas. Understand when a person is comfortable, then the Shechina is comfortable. Right? If a person loves Hashem, I should be happy that Hashem is happy, kavyochel. And when the Shechina is in pain, I should feel the pain. If a person is in comfort, he has, he's living, Hashem has granted him wealth and properties. He'll be able to do so many mitzvahs. So I should be happy for a Jew if he has all these things, because then he's able to do more mitzvahs. Again, if we're working as one corporation, so if somebody's doing well, that means more money is going into the corporation. That means I profit. It's not just he's profiting, I'm profiting because he's adding to the corporation. And Hashem has such nachas from it. If a person is in pain, he can't function properly. And he's not being able to function properly and to do his mitzvahs, etc. Therefore, over al das kono. Sometimes the Gemara brings down that if a person is in poverty, it will drive him to do things which he wouldn't do under normal circumstances. So we should certainly try to help out someone, that it should never leave that person to go against the Ratzon Hashem, because when a person is suffering, he doesn't really have, his mind is not set, and he's capable or culpable of doing things which are not Lefi Ratzon Hashem. Okay, gentlemen, I guess we will adjourn over here. We didn't finish the piece, maybe. See, tomorrow I want to do tefillah though with you, and we'll see if we'll continue with the piece. Are there any questions or issues that we should discuss for a minute or two?
Rabbi, that hit the spot. Thank you so much.
Okay, have an amazing day, everyone. Then.
Is
Thank you.
is this he's talking about individual chiyuv, or he's talking about communal chiyuv as well?
What do you mean, Alex?
Well, there is a chiyuv after Recha Kamoicha, and then there is a like psukim achicha yamato yado imcha chazakta boy. So things like that. Is it individual, or he's Yoetz focusing on one-to-one ratio, or community rabbanim are mechuyev to?
Again, there are again if the city sets up a city is also members of a community also have to watch out for other Jews. In other words, one Jew might not necessarily be able to help out everybody, obviously. So sometimes you need a community effort to help out somebody. And again, the community is also we're all one unit. Is also, sometimes they have more capabilities than just the one person might not necessarily be able to do everything. So you give it to the community as well. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yishkoach, Rabbi.
Okay. Have an amazing day. Oh, hi,
Bye.
Chaim. How are you? Okay. Okay. All the best. Take care. Okay. Be well. Bye. Okay. All right. One second to get my other share.